How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Now in today's video I decided to rank all of the Infiltrator units. Now I normally rank all of the reinforcements together, but I decided this time that I was going to rank them based off of their individual class rather than all of the reinforcements together. Now they're normally broken up between the Infiltrators, the Enforcers, and the aerial units, but they all sort of play differently than one another and they all have their own battle point cost. For example, the aerial units are normally about 1,000 battle points, but the Enforcers and some of the Infiltrators go for about 1,500 to 2,000 battle points. And with the latest update, we got two new Infiltrators, which are the Ewok Hunter and the ISB Agent. So I just figured that I would rank all 6 of the Infiltrators in today's video. Now keep in mind that I do play on console. These reinforcements do play differently on PC. I know from experience, and I know just from gathering feedback in the community, so just keep that in mind. So coming in at number 6, we have the Ewok. The Ewok is one of the 2 new reinforcements that was added to the game in the most recent update. Now this may be a little controversial because I know a lot of people like the Ewok Hunter, and the Ewok Hunter does do a crap ton of damage if you zoom in with their bow. And they do have their own passive ability, but in my personal opinion, the Ewok just is not good. I've practiced and practiced and practiced with the Ewok, and I just can't get as high kill streaks with the Ewok as I can all the other Infiltrators. Now this is where the console/PC thing kind of comes into play. Just for personal experience, I'm a lot better with a keyboard and mouse using the Ewok compared to console, and I've seen some really sick gameplay of people on PC using the Ewok because of the accuracy of the mouse. So if someone is extremely accurate with the Ewok, they're going to do a ton of damage sniping with this bow. But for console, I just am not that good with it. I find it hard to aim, it's hard to time the charge of the bow, and just combine that with the movement speed of the Ewok. If you come anywhere near a hero, you're pretty much toast. I don't like your odds of surviving at all if you encounter a hero. At least compared to some of these other Infiltrators, they're actually pretty decent at taking on heroes. Now the Ewok does have some advantages. I mean, he can hide from radar, and he does have that passive ability where if you crouch, you regenerate your other abilities a little bit faster. And his Wisties pouch is pretty good, but his default attack ability just isn't the greatest. It takes about 3 or 4 melee hits to kill an infantry unit. But for me, I mean, I enjoy playing with the Ewok. I think they're a lot of fun and it's very rewarding. And it feels really awesome when you actually hit a headshot with that bow, or if you snipe someone from across the map. It's really, really fun. But honestly, I think they need to have some sort of faster charge up for the bow just to make it a little bit easier to use the Ewok. And then coming in at number 5, I have the Clone ARC Trooper. Now when this guy was first released, I would have easily put him at number 1. He was an absolute beast when he first came out, but then he went through a number of different nerfs and he just hasn't been the same since. The latest update changed him completely. Now you no longer use both triggers to shoot his primary blasters. It used to be right trigger and left trigger would control each respective blaster, but now both blasters are tied to just one trigger, and then you can alternate the rate of fire with the right bumper. He has a slower rate of fire for longer range, and then you can switch it to a faster rate of fire for up close and personal encounters. And then the left trigger is now tied into Power Blast. I'm pretty sure they made these changes to coincide with the ISB Agent, and I'm okay with this change. I know a lot of the community absolutely hates this change. I do think that this is a bit of a nerf to the ARC Trooper, but I do kind of like having the Power Blast option on the left trigger. They increase the Power Blast rate of fire. Now you can shoot about 3 or 4 of them before it overheats. And then for their middle ability, they have the Helmet Scanner. It says activate your rangefinder to scan the vicinity for enemies. Now this does not have a set number of enemies that you can see, like with the ISB Agent and the Sith Trooper. This just shows anybody that is in your vicinity. You can see them through walls and stuff, and it's pretty handy. And then they also have a Shock Trap ability, which is kind of like Lando's. You can throw the Shock Trap down, and then when you activate it, it does a small amount of damage, and it electrocutes enemies, and it pushes them away. This is a good ability for helping take out enemy heroes. You can knock them down and then shoot them while they are laying on the ground. And then this is also really good at making quick escapes. You can throw it down, electrocute your enemies, and then run away. And based off of my playstyle, I personally like having both blasters tied into one trigger, but I do think that that made them take a major hit on how good they are overall. So that's why I'm putting them at number 5. And then coming in at number 4, I have the chepec Spy. Now, the Spy is pretty good. They have a Truncheon melee ability, which can come in pretty handy. It knocks people over if you hit them with all 3 of the attacks. It does a decent amount of damage. He has a rapid fire ability like Han, which does a massive amount of damage, especially since they buffed it. Now you can get a couple more shots off before it overheats. He is very good at a distance. If you land your headshots, you can basically snipe with this guy. And he has his scanner beacon ability, which will act as a orbital strike when you are outside. And then when you are indoors, it will mess up an opponent's radar, making them see dots on their radar which aren't actually there. So he's pretty handy. I really like him. I think he's fun to play with. But for me personally, I don't like his Truncheon attack as much as the BX droid's melee, which I'll get into here in a little bit. But I think the Spy's pretty good, but I'm putting them at number 4. And then coming in at number 3, I have the new ISB Agent. Now, I did not like the ISB Agent at first, and I still think that their primary blaster fire is a little too weak. I think it needs a slight buff, maybe just a couple more extra points of attack damage. But the ISB Agent is actually really cool. They have a passive ability where if you get melee kills, it replenishes your health. She has assault training, which increases her sprint speed, and then she gains damage reduction. And then she has her middle ability, which is Imperial Intel, which reveals enemies through a radar scan. Lets you see enemies through walls and stuff, which is pretty cool. And then she has double your efforts, where if you are near an ally, you automatically start healing yourself and teammates nearby. Now, this ability does not activate when you're off on your own. You have to be near teammates. So this kind of promotes team play, which I appreciate. I would rather be able to activate the ability on your own, but I understand why they did it that way. But for the melee attacks, the melee animation is cool, but the melee is nowhere near as good as the BX droids. And having a passive ability tied to melee would make you think that this agent is really good up close and personal with the melee. I think if the melee attacks were on par with the BX droid, then the ISB agent would be really, really good. And I really like the secondary fire for the ISB agent. It really shines on these larger maps. And after I played with her for a while, I actually got used to her, and then she ended up being way better than what I initially thought. And then for number 2 and number 1, it is actually really, really tough for me to decide between these two. Honestly, I think they're both pretty even. I think they're both really good. The BX droid, for example, has that melee combo where you can knock over heroes. It can have up to 3 dashes. They have thermal vision and they have smoke screens, so you can throw down a smoke and then you can still see through walls and your smoke. They do a decent amount of damage with their primary blaster, and overall the commando droid, once you figure out how to time your dashes, is one of the best reinforcements in the entire game. But the downside for the commando droid is that they cost 2,000 battle points on most maps, compared to the Sith Trooper, which is normally 1,500 battle points. Which is why it's hard for me to decide here. Now, the Sith Trooper has the Oppression Grenade, they have Seeker Tactics, and they have Combat Rush. Now, the Oppression Grenade deals damage to them just like a normal thermal detonator would, but it also suppresses their health temporarily so they cannot regenerate their health, which is really, really handy. Their Seeker Tactics works the same way as the ARC Trooper and the ISB Agent, where it's just a radar ping and you can see through walls, and the number of opponents that you can see goes up based off of how many kills you have. And then they also have a Combat Rush, kind of like the ISB Agent, but for the Sith Trooper, it boosts your sprint speed, and then defeating enemies will briefly activate health regeneration and extend the active time of Combat Rush. Not to mention, they also have a secondary fire, and they have a really high rate of fire with their primary blaster. Now, I have seen a lot of debate in the community between the Sith Trooper and the BX droid, but because of that battle point difference of about 500, which could be anywhere from 1 to 2 extra kills depending on certain situations, but because the Sith Trooper is normally less battle points than the BX droid, I'm going to have to go with the BX droid at number 2 and the Sith Trooper at number 1. I think if they both were equal on battle points, I might give the BX droid the advantage, and I might put the BX droid at number 1 just because of that melee combo and their ability to take out heroes. But because the Sith Trooper has so many good abilities and they cost 500 less, that's why I'm giving the Sith Trooper the number 1 spot. But that is my opinion. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section down below. What are your favorite infiltrators in Star Wars Battlefront 2? And then if you guys haven't yet, follow me on all social media media at SwanyPlaysGames, and then you can follow me on Twitch at SwanyPlaysGames Live. And then if you guys haven't yet, be sure to check out the channel's Discord. It's just a great place where you guys can hang out, get to know each other, make new friends, play games with each other, and just be a part of the community. You'll be notified of every time I upload a video or anytime I go live on stream, and it's just a great place to hang out and talk about Star Wars. And all of those links are found in the description down below. And then if you guys enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Be sure to hit that subscribe button if you're new here. Be sure to check out another video, and I will talk to you guys next time.
Will you join me? Accept your fate. I grew impatient.